Hello everybody and welcome back to ChäoS Head. So let me go and get my timer started real quick and then we'll go ahead and jump in. Oh. While I zoned out, becoming lost to my delusions, Yua fell gradually on her ass without any warning. She rubbed her butt, looking a bit as if she were about to cry.
すみません。CD を踏んづけちゃったみたいです。ケース割れたかも。本当にごめんなさい。私、きちんと片付けますから。いいよ。
It's okay, so hurry up and go home. In any case, what was the favor she'd brought up earlier? Though I told her not to I told her not to, Yua began tidying up the trash and CDs scattered at her feet. Her expression was so apologetic that it made me start to feel like I was the one at fault.
じゃあ、足の踏み場だけでも、確保させてください。すいません。その後でお願い言いますから。
As she cleaned briskly, Yua looked almost like my mother, doing whatever the heck she wanted without any thought for other people's extenuating circumstances. It was the perfect example of uncalled for meddling. At times like this, someone in my position should probably offer Yua my help. As we reached for the garbage, our hands would touch. Ah, we'd say as we gazed at each other, and the atmosphere would start to get kind of intimate. What kind of love comedy is this? I'm definitely not going to help out, okay? Yua's hand, which had been neurotically repiling the mountain of magazines, stopped. Right then, her back happened to be facing me, and I couldn't really see what she was holding.
いえ、気にしないでください。
She was getting remarkably flustered. How suspicious. Thinking about it more carefully, it was the same as if she were doing a search of my room. She might be trying to steal something. Maybe she thought that with so many figures I wouldn't notice one or two missing. But you got that wrong. See, here, I know everything about my brides. I'd noticed right away if even a single one vanished.
フィギュアには触らないでね。はい。いえ、違うんです。
It's gonna be like a used tissue or some shit.
ブラチューの同人誌って言うんですか？それが落ちてまして、ちょっと中身を見てみたら。
Okay, so not what I was thinking of. Varacha Doshinji. Ah, a narrow one.
すごかったのでびっくりしました。
It was amazing, you say.
勝手に見ないでよ。すいません。
Yua frantically began moving her hands again. Having managed to create just enough space to sit down, she turned back to face me.
それで、さっき言ったお願いですけど。
Here it is. I sucked down my breath and instinctively braced myself.
さっき言ったフィギュアの予約、一緒に行ってもらえませんか？私、そういうアニメショップみたいなところって今まで行ったことなくて。で、私、なんだかすごくぶしつけなお願いしてますよね。すいません。私のせいで西条くんは怪我をしたのに。
I was in real danger here. This wasn't the kind of problem where I could answer her carelessly. In the first place, Yua and I had similar hobbies, and she'd said she liked Seira, and she'd acted really interested in what I had to say, and for an otaku like me, she was pretty easy to talk with. But this had to be a trap. Such an overly convenient eroge-esque development would never happen in real life. Don't be poisoned by the third dimension. Think. What on earth was Yua's goal?
すいません。今のお願いは忘れてください。私、西条くんがいろいろ話してくれるのが、嬉しくて。
Yua bowed her head to me. Considering that most 3D girls tend to be excessively pushy, she was showing unusual restraint. No girl this cute and with such a good personality could possibly exist in reality. This was an act. Watch me reject you. I'll shut you down like a man. When Yua raised her head, what I could see of her eyes behind her glasses looked damp. Could it be that she was crying? Because I hadn't said anything? I'd made her cry? Give me a break. Oh, well, no, it was, hey, give me a break. I'd only ever experienced such scenes of emotional carnage in games. I was incredibly agitated, plus I felt guilty. It's often said that women's tears can become weapons, but only now did I get a sense of the truth behind those words. Honestly, I had no idea what to do. I just got in a dither and made myself increasingly impatient. I'll go with you, I started to say, but I couldn't go through with it. What if, after I said that, she told me, like, don't take it seriously, stupid. What a creep. Trapped in paranoia, I lost the ability to speak.
無理してくれなくていいです。私のわがままに西条くんを付き合わせるのは良くないですし。
Her eyes had grown even wetter than before. Droplets seemed ready to come overflowing from the corners of her eyes any moment now.
行くよ。
言ってもらえるんですか?
Helpless, I nodded. I couldn't think of any other way to make Yua stop crying. I had the feeling that I'd strolled right into her trap, but... Yua let out a relieved breath, took off her glasses, and wiped her tears.
断られて当然だと思ってたのに。西条くん、ありがとうございます。
She was thanking me. It looked as though I had somehow managed to avoid making her cry for real. I was the one who felt like I'd been saved. How had I ended up getting so cornered? Damn you, 3D girl. Lack of preparation was my greatest enemy.
行くとしたらいつがいいでしょう?
On top of that, where had her sorrowful expression gone? Now she looked thoroughly delighted. She might have been crying crocodile tears after all. If so, those were some professional level acting skills.
セイラちゃんの新しいフィギュアはもうすぐ発売なんですよね。
うん。きっとすぐに完売しちゃうだろうね。
だったら早めに行った方が良さそうですね。明日とか。
According to my schedule for the week, tomorrow was certainly a school-going day. This week, of all weeks, I had to go 3 times. As a result, though, next week I would only have to go twice. Tomorrow was looking to be a pretty depressing day. But if I told you, actually, I'm not going, now that she'd gotten all excited about it, she might start crying again. Ugh, she had me wrapped around her little finger.
わかったよ。
I reluctantly gave my assent. Yua seemed pleased. Making that face at me won't be enough to trick me, you know.
西条くんは何組? 明日放課後に迎えに行きますよ。
B 組。
2年 B 組ですね。じゃあ授業が終わったら待っててください。
Wanting Yua to leave faster, I went on bobbing my head. Promising to hang out with a girl. This wasn't some kind of dream or delusion, was it? I pinched my cheek just in case. It hurt.
それじゃあ長い間お邪魔しちゃってすいませんでした。足、もし痛かったらお医者さんに行ってくださいね。
あ、うん。
Still seated on the sofa, I watched Yua go. Immediately before leaving the room, Yua turned to give me a little wave.
西条くん、また明日。
また明日だってさ。しかも手を振ったりして。
My cheeks were naturally slipping into a smile, so I hesitantly pulled my face back into place.
あの女絶対僕に惚れてる。間違いないね。ま、付き合うか付き合わないかは僕に選択肢があるわけだし、あの女を情け容赦なく振ってやるさ。お前は僕の女にふさわしくない。セイラよりいい女になって出直してこい。まあ、一生無理だけどな。何しろセイラは永遠の17歳だからな。みたいな。
And as per usual, main character here has snapped. Like any female could ever be finer than Sarah. I picked up the figure of her and rubbed it against my cheek. Sarah seemed happy.
おっと、時間か。今のところテストに出るからな。ちゃんとノート書いておけよ。今日はここまで。起立。礼。
Once the math teacher, what was his name again? Not like it mattered, left the classroom, today's classes finally reached their end. Everyone chattered about where they planned to go next, while the students and clubs gathered with their fellow club members and headed off to different rooms. There were also a lot of people preparing to head straight home. As soon as the closing bell rang, I too usually got my stuff together for going home. But today I fretted in my seat, making an effort not to meet my classmates' gazes. After this came my promise with Yua. Ordinarily, it'd be ultra exciting to be waiting to head out somewhere with a girl. But right now, I was nothing but melancholy. I couldn't calm down. My stomach ached. It was the first time I'd promised to meet with a girl, so I had no clue how to handle myself. In the first place, was Yua really coming? I started to think that maybe yesterday had been one big prank, and as I waited here, she was watching me from the shadows and giggling. In a certain sense, that might be better than if she really came. In fact, there was no need to wait for her so faithfully. Wouldn't it be fine if I forgot all about her and left? Alrighty, time to go home. Whatever the case, we were in different grades, and if I stood her up today, we'd probably never meet again for the rest of our lives. Decision made. I stood up.
たく、何してんだ?
Someone pounded me on the back. I didn't have to see his face to know whose doing it was. Misumi was the only person in the class curious enough to call out to me.
お前帰らないのか? いつもならチャイムが鳴ると同時に消えるのによ。俺密かに匠の音速直帰って名付けてたんだぜ。
もう帰るよ。
誰か待ってるとか。
え?
How do you know?
なんだよ、図星かよ。
どうして？
なんだかやけにそわそわしてたからな。教室の入り口をさっきから何度も気にしてるし。
He's sharp. But it'd be better not to say anything careless here. You mustn't forget, Takumi. At this school, you're gonna stand out. You've got to stand out as little as possible. You've got to be like air.
別に誰も待ってないよ。
そうか？だったら今の間はなんだよ。
それは。
Shit. Misumi wasn't a bad guy, but he could really get obnoxious at times like this. Learn to read between the lines.
西条くん
I twitched. Looking gingerly in the direction Yua's voice had come from, I saw her standing timidly at the entrance to our classroom. What a mess. It was Masumi's fault that I lost my chance to escape.
おい、なんだりゃ。どういうことだ?
Unusually for him, Masumi seemed shaken. Throwing an arm around my shoulder, he looked at me steadily.
おい、タク、どういうことか説明しろよ。お前の彼女か。
違うよ。
I told Masumi a million times that I had no interest in the third dimension.
だったら何なんだよ。言っとくが、タクの姉ちゃんとかそういうオチは期待してねえからな。引きこもりのくせに何をどうやったらあんないい女と知り合えるんだ。
昨日急に付きまとわれて。
そりゃつまりあれか？逆難されたってことか。え？この。
He grabbed me by my he grabbed me by the jaw until I started to wobble. With that, Misumi finally released me.
そうか。世の中には物好きってのもいるんだな。けど、タクがまともな性癖を持ってたみたいで、少し安心したぜ。
性癖って、それに彼女とは別に何も。
そうかそうか。頑張れよ、タク。
Misumi wasn't listening to me. Getting single-handedly worked up about it, he thumbed me on the back even more fiercely than before. Ugh, he was definitely teasing me.
安心しろって。お前の女を寝取ったりしねえから。
だからそういう関係じゃ。
ほら、さっさと行けよ。彼女、お待ちかねみたいだぜ。
As Misumi drove me away, I stumbled up to Yua. In the end, I hadn't been able to run away.
迎えに来たの迷惑でした？
いや。
It caused me tons of trouble. When I took a look back at Misumi, he grinned and stuck his middle finger up at me. I had a hard time telling whether he was picking a fight with me or trying to encourage me. It'd be aggravating to keep dealing with him. I'd better get out of school post-haste.
すいません。昨日会ったばかりなのに、こんなお願いをしてしまって。
いや。
So nervous. Going home from school together with the 3D girl. Why, that almost made it seem like I had a life. I thought that kind of thing belonged in a world with no relation to me. I'd never have dreamed of being able to experience it. But at the moment, I was coming under silent pressure from Yua. How could I be so nervous when all we were doing was walking side by side? And I had no clue as to Yua's true identity or her goal. What could she expect from a creepy otaku like me?
おとといの。
いや。
Since she started talking so suddenly, startlement had made my voice come out weirdly. It seemed that Yua was nervous as well. Her expression was strained. It made her seem rather innocent for an older girl. She might be unexpectedly moe. That said, though, it was all I could do just to glance at her out of the corners of my eyes. Looking at her straight on shouldn't have been a big deal, but sheer embarrassment made it impossible for me.
おとといのブラチュー、見ましたよね？
うん。
私、一箇所だけいまいちよくわからないところがあったんですけど、すすむくんがセイラちゃんのピンチに駆けつけてきて助けてくれますよね。でも、どうしてすすむくんはセイラちゃんが危ないって分かったのかなって。
あれは先週の回に伏線があったんだ。セイラの携帯が鳴ってるシーンが一瞬だけ挿入されてて、着信表示で進むの名前が出てる。
そういえばそんなシーンありましたね。
山田はそういう細かい伏線をあちこちに貼るのが好きなんだ。キンゴルでも似たようなことをやってた。
山田くキンゴル？
いや、山田っていうのはブラチューの監督の愛称だよ。で、山田がブラチューの前に監督やってたアニメがキンゴル。
へえ、じゃあ山田さんって有名な監督さんなんですね。
まあ僕は好きな方かな。なんでかっていうと、
As I lectured you on this and that about anime, we arrived in front of Animeite. Yeah. I still haven't figured out how exactly I want to pronounce that. Wow, we'd gotten there way faster than I thought. I'd gotten so into it that I had talked way too much. It was because Iwa was good at listening. She heard me out with true interest while I showed off my knowledge in all kinds of areas. That was why, even though I was aware that it had to be a trap, I found myself wanting to tell her everything I knew. I was supposed to be bad at talking. This was a first for me. I could converse with her almost as if I were chatting online. What a strange sensation.
なんだかドキドキしてきました。 先に帰ったりしないでくださいね。
うん。
Her demeanor growing increasingly nervous, Yua asked one of the clerks about pre-ordering the post-awakening version of Seira. I simply watched from beside her. I'd been casing the place for a chance to escape, but Yua kept throwing anxious looks at me, so I couldn't move an inch. Afterward, at Yua's request, we looked around the rest of the store. An overjoyed Yua told me no matter how much money I brought here, I'd want to buy more, but I didn't have the energy to smile back at her. Apparently, Yua took the train to and from school. As a result, I had to accompany her to the Shinsen train station. She seemed gentle and timid, but she was actually pretty stubborn. She'd couch her demands in such a way that they didn't seem at all demanding or selfish. That was dark of her, man. Yua had to be one of those dark characters.
西条くんって携帯は持ってないんですか？
Yua abruptly asked me right as we arrived at the station. A cell phone, huh? I feebly shook my head.
持ってないんですか。それじゃ連絡が取れないですね。
連絡?
What did she plan to accomplish by contacting me? Surely she didn't intend to make me mail her over every little thing.
でも西条くんパソコン持ってましたよね。私も持ってるからメールアドレスを交換しませんか？
どうして？
そのフィギュアの発売日に取りに行かなくちゃいけませんよね。その時にまた一緒に。まだ一人でアニメ8に行く勇気はないから。
Okay, it sounded like she said anime-ite. So I'll just have to try and remember to actually pronounce it like that. How skillfully done.
それに
This girl was ingenious.
私西条くんと
Even though I understood that, I couldn't refuse her. I'd feel bad if I turned her down.
もっと
The third dimension was truly terrifying.
仲良くなりたいから。
Was it because I wasn't used to talking to people? Or because their conversational skills were just that good? Whatever the case, it didn't seem like you would be ready to return until I gave her my email address, yet she anxiously looked up at me through her glasses. For some reason, it stole away my will to resist. Despite the fact that goosebumps covered my whole body and chills were running down my spine, I could neither run away nor reject her. There was something bizarre about Yua. This atmosphere wasn't normal. I couldn't clearly explain why it wasn't in normal words, but in any case, it was abnormal. Before I realized it, I'd written my email address on a scrap of notebook paper and handed it over to Yua. After happily accepting it, Yua nodded to me and disappeared into the station. I stood there, dazed for a full 10 minutes, feeling as though my soul had been sucked out of me. What do you think of a girl like that? I have no idea what to do anymore. She's definitely got some kind of ulterior motive. That's all I can come up with. Hey, you listening, Grim? What is the name of this eroge? That night, as we chatted, I tried Grim's advice on what to do about Yua. I didn't think anything would come of it if I went around suspecting everyone and everything all on my own. But there was his answer. To be fair, I'd had the exact same reaction the first time I spoke with Yua. I was an idiot for asking you. Wait, LOL, you're serious? Man, you've got flags standing up all over the place. And when you do things, you sure get them done right. Dude, who was it who said he wasn't interested in the third dimension? Look, it's not that kind of relationship. Grim reacted the same way as Misumi. What if, contrary to all expectations, they were the same person? Well, guys like you with no romantic experience have a tendency to graduate from being otaku the second they get a woman. It's common sense that your girlfriend wouldn't want you fapping to school swimsuits. I'm more into racing suits than school swimsuits. That's totally off topic, lol. Oh? I could hear Sarah's voice. I changed my settings so that she'd say the same line whenever I got a new email. When I casually checked my email client, the field from the sender's name said Kusunoki Yua.
うわ、早速来た。
Yeah, it was. Got an email. Just now. Here it comes. An email from a 3D girl. I'd never received one before. I took a gulp and opened it. The contents were completely infused with her neatness and good breeding. However, she also used emoticons to create a sense of friendliness. I don't recall if the dialogue actually reads this out. So, good evening, this is Kusunoki. I decided to send you an email right away. I'd be delighted if you would save my email address. Thank you for coming with me today. I'm sorry, but I had a lot of fun. It was my first time going to a store like that. It might also have been because you were there with me, lol. When are you coming to school tomorrow? If you were to ask why I want to know such a thing, well, I'd like to greet you in the morning. It'd be nice if we bumped into each other in the morning. In any case, I'll email you again later. Good night. Let's see. But with parts like, because you were there with me, and I'd like to greet you in the morning, and you could also interpret it as being part of some scheme of hers. Post it. It's normal stuff, man. Just saying hello. Come on, just post it. Post it. And then there's us posting it. Grim was being so obnoxious about that I decided to just throw the whole thing out there. Although I made sure to remove our personal information first, of course. Ho! Man, what a lovey-dovey mail. You gotta just go off and die. Or you ought to just go off and die. Come on, think about it seriously. It's gotta be some kind of trap. Yeah, conspiracy. Aren't you overthinking things? To me, it just looks like you set off her flag, only a little longer till you reach your good end. But that's impossible. A gross otaku like me and a real-life girl who's that cute? Would never get together. Ella, now you're just praising your honey. Answer seriously once in a while. Yeah, that's why I'm saying you're overthinking things. You have the same interests and stuff, don't you? Nowadays, it'd be hard for you to find another nice, healthy girl like her. I knew that much already, but she was such a good girl that it was actually kind of disagreeable. Well, the whole stalker actually started out with might have been overdoing it, but she likes you enough to be driven by that kind of impulse. She likes anime, right? She's an impossibly ideal girlfriend for an otaku at any rate. Go on and make her adapt to your tastes. That might not be so bad. No. That was exactly what she wanted me to think. Let's see. Be happy you got reverse picked up. Not interested in the third dimension. But really, you want to go out with her so badly you can't help it, right?
そうだけど。
You want to get out of your otaku cocoon. Now's your chance. Make no mistake, you won't get this kind of chance again. Congrats on your newfound popularity. Instead of freaking out, go on the attack. Just act like Nightheart, except in real life. All lights green ahead. If I could do that, it wouldn't be such a struggle. And there was something I learned from talking to Yua yesterday and the day before yesterday. It was enjoyable, and it made me happy, but more so than that, it wore me out, and it was a huge bother. Rather than continuing to be forced to go through all that, I might as well stick to the 2D world, where I could live however I wanted. Which is why I didn't send a reply to Yua's mail. Okay, well, so that's the end of that section, and my timer has 30 seconds left, so we're gonna go ahead and end this part here. It's a little bit before my timer, but it's only 30 seconds, give or take about. So I will see you all next time. Quick reminder that I do have a Patreon and a Discord. You can find links to those down below in the description. I do highly recommend that you join my Discord if you want to stay up to date on channel happenings. That is my go-to place for posting that type of stuff. I generally don't remember to post stuff on my YouTube community channel, or on the YouTube community tab, whatever you want to call it. On my Twitter or any of my other social medias, Twitter being really the only one that I in any way pay any attention to. And again, I don't even really use it that much. Certainly not for actually posting stuff. But yeah, so like I said, I do recommend joining the Discord if you want to stay updated on channel happenings, so that you know when I live stream, if I ever manage to actually sit down and get into that in any real capacity. But also mainly for just being able to know ahead of time if there's not going to be any videos for a series 1 week, because that's where I will typically post that type of stuff. Just normally hey, I was busy or whatever, so no video for XYZ this week. But nonetheless, you know, that's the general template, but you get my point. It's where I post stuff to let you all know if there's not going to be a video for a series 1 week or for a couple of weeks or whatever the case may be, or if I run into any technical difficulties with it or with a series. But as for the Patreon, that is the go-to place to help support the channel. If you enjoy the content on the channel, for as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to all of my videos. There's really no benefits for the higher tiers, really, to be honest, beyond just being able to toss more money, really. And a different title in the Discord if you join it. But there's really no difference in terms of privileges and whatnot. But yeah, so you can, like I said, you can find links to both of those things down in the description below. I will see you all next time. As always, like, favorite, comment, subscribe, share. But until the next video, a goodbye and farewell.